Hi, welcome and thanks for joining us today. I'm Beth Gibbons, the Program Manager for Smart Giving, and what we're going to run through is a webinar for schools that are wishing to apply for our upcoming Smart Giving round, which is open to all our schools nationwide who fit our criteria. So the purpose of this webinar is we're going to give you some tips to help you submit an application, and we hope that you'll be able to take some really key things away from this short session that we'll go through. So on screen with me is Andrew and Rona. So Andrew is our National Coach Manager and Rona is our Administration Officer here at Schools Plus, and all three of us work closely with our Smart Giving schools. So before we dive in, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of which we're coming to you from. I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Andrew is on the land of the Tharawal people and Rona is on the land of the Bidjigal people. So we pay our respects to the elders past and present. Our First Nations people are this country's first teachers, and we have a lot to learn from their culture. So we're just going to turn our videos off now so that you can enjoy the benefit of focusing on the key information in the following slides. So I'm just going to start with a brief overview of Schools Plus. So Schools Plus exists to help close the education gap caused by disadvantage. We believe that all children should have access to a great education regardless of their background. And as a registered charity, we work with teachers and schools in disadvantaged areas to empower them with funding, coaching and resources to implement initiatives that will help their students succeed. Our support is directed to Australian schools that have a value below 1,000 on the National Index of Community Socio-Educational Advantage, which is for short, ICSEA. We make a determined effort to support schools on the lower end of the ICSEA scale because they're the most in need. And there are more than 4,600 schools across Australia covering government, Catholic and independent sectors that are eligible for support through Schools Plus. We were a recommendation in the original Gonski review, stating that an organisation should be established to allow schools greater access to philanthropic support. So we began supporting schools directly in 2015. And since then, we've added $36 million into the Australian school system, benefiting over 430,000 students, 1,200 schools, and over 36,000 teachers. So we'll just move now into a quick overview of the Smart Giving program. So schools can apply for grant funding through our Smart Giving program. And we work to support projects in impact areas born from school need. So we don't direct where these funds will go. It's really a school-based initiatives. And we're not talking shade cloths or sport court upgrades or playgrounds. We really are looking for those strategic projects that are going to make a really big difference in the school. We're looking for projects that are embedded in the school's long-term strategy, supported by school leadership, and are research and evidence-based. So examples of projects in the past we've supported are initiatives to re-engage a targeted group of students in their education. It might be teacher professional development in areas like numeracy or literacy, STEM projects that introduce robotics or coding to certain year levels. And in particular, over the last few years, we've seen a strong reliance and applications that are coming in around wellbeing and resilience projects to help build student and community wellbeing. So just moving on to what's available. So we've got funding that's available, so $30,000 for an individual school project and up to $60,000 for projects of a cluster of schools. So a cluster of schools is between 4 and 10 schools that are working together or have an existing relationship and working together on a project that benefits the broader school community. In addition to funding support, successful schools will be partnered with a coach that's allocated from our team of education professionals. Schools Plus coaches provide an independent sounding board for school leaders and teachers beyond the education system. So they really play a mentor role, and they've had extensive recent experience in schools, and we provide each school with up to 12 hours of coaching over the duration of the project, so around that 12 to 18 months. Eligibility. So are you eligible to apply? This is really important to consider prior to submitting an application. So all schools need to have an ICSEA value below 1,000, and there to be 999 or below. And you can check your profile at the My School website, and there you will see your ICSEA value. We're only accepting one project per school or cluster, so just ensure that you're only submitting one application per school or cluster. And those that are currently funded through our Smart Giving round at the moment, our current Commonwealth Bank Teaching Awards or our Fair Education program, your project must be acquitted by the close of the round, 9th of September, to be eligible to apply for another year of funding. So what types of projects can be supported? So we are, as I said earlier, we're looking for projects that are in line with your school's strategic plan and are aiming to have a big impact within the school. We're looking to start projects in Term 1, 2023. So have that in mind when you're submitting your application, that the project itself will really kick off in that first term. We're looking at projects of all types, so not focused in on one area. They can be anything that really is going to benefit your school and your students and what you're looking to do. So STEM, numeracy, literacy, professional learning, building capacity, whether that's teachers or students, wellbeing, community engagement, might be an allied health partnership. So there really is a really broad range of projects that we can support. And we're looking at, it could be an extension of an existing school initiative that you are currently doing that you really want to lift to that next level, or a pilot that you've been running in the school, or a pilot you want to start. So something that you've really had planned and is in your strategic plan that you're looking to focus on, that we can help kickstart that. There might be a project that you've been running within your school that you want to replicate and expand out into schools within your network that you work on. So it's the variety of things that we're able to support. So just some tips to help you with your filling in your application. We really encourage you to take time to read the guidelines thoroughly. This webinar is a great start. We're going to be talking through the questions that will give you some information. The guidelines dive deeper into the projects we support, what's not eligible. So please read that, call us, have a conversation if you're unsure. We'd rather you spend the time doing this research up front than filling in the form and not being eligible for a small thing that you might have picked up on. When you're filling in your application, answer the questions directly and clearly and be as specific as possible. So for instance, saying our aim is to increase student attendance from 65% to 80% is better than we aim to increase student attendance. We can see that you've done the research. We can see that you've got that, that base level of information that you've done prior to putting in your application. Tell a compelling story throughout. So explain the current situation, the need, and why you've chosen this approach. What activities will you undertake and who will benefit? Avoid using acronyms or jargon. So write for a layperson. Don't assume that we know everything about your school. So try not to use acronyms that are specific to your school or the education space. Really spell that out and make it clear so anyone reading your application can get a good understanding of what you're trying to do. Include a clear and thorough budget. So we want to know how the funds are going to be spent. So be specific on your budget items. So explain that equipment, for example, if you're purchasing equipment, you would put something like 10 times iPad or 25 textbooks, or the funding is for salaries 5 days at X amount per day, etc. And then make sure that budget matches the activities that you've outlined in your application. So that there's an item in there that really relates to what you've already outlined above in those other questions, and that it all flows effectively. And then importantly, submit on time. So make sure you check that closing date and the time. We've got a midnight close date, which is Eastern Standard Time. So just check that. If you're in another state with a different time zone, please make sure you've got that, that time set up correctly. You know, we receive hundreds of applications, so we will not be able to accept anything that is submitted late. So try not to leave it to the last minute. We've had many stories of computer glitches or other system things that have happened when people have been trying to submit, you know, 3 minutes before the close time. So really plan it out and submit that application on time. So I'm going to now hand over to Andrew, and he's going to take us through the key questions. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Beth. This part of the webinar today is really around how to getting into the crux of your application and how to, I guess, best spend the time getting that information of those rich programs and initiatives that you've got in the pipeline waiting to go into a project in your school or group of schools, and how to answer those questions to ensure yourself the best chance of success in this particular program. So firstly, is this piece around this student-focused intervention. So this is the part of the application where you're able to specifically identify the student outcomes that you're aiming to transform as a result of the work that you want to undertake. This could include any activity or program that targets those key areas for students in your school or your group of schools learning community. For example, this could be an oral language program that screens students to identify those at risk and provides targeted interventions to address those skill gaps. It's a really central, important part of your submission to Schools Plus. Next, we're looking at those key strategies that support the delivery of the intervention. So these are the activities that you'll undertake. So staff professional learning as an example, or perhaps the design and introduction of new student lesson plans, or perhaps some new activities within the classroom. We also ask you to consider the time frame in which these will occur. Maybe break down term by term how the project will roll out, and that'll allow us at Schools Plus to get a really clear indication and picture of how this intends to roll out in your particular school community. Also consider what resources you'll need to implement your strategies and who will be involved. This will give us a good idea of the scope and the breadth of the project within your school community as well. Next, we're looking at this measurement piece. So we're really interested in what you'll measure and what tools you'll use to measure your success. We really place a strong emphasis on baseline data points. So establishing a firm idea and picture of where you are at the moment allows us to chart your growth and envision your expected growth into the future a lot more clearly. What will look different? What does success look like? These are the questions that we consider when we review your application. There also might be some pieces around change in mindset or knowledge, skills and practice that give us a really clear picture of your intentions through this project process. Lastly, we look at this sustainability piece. So what will this look like after the relationship with Schools Plus through the project is finished? How will this initiative be sustained into the future? For example, many schools utilise as part of their funding and some additional teacher time to make a project successful. So what's the consideration when the funding for this period with Schools Plus draws to a close? How do you intend to continue this important work after that project life cycle? This is also a really good place to put in some information around developing the capacity of your staff. Is that capacity around specific project work or subject area content work, or is it around leadership? And what sort of effect will that have on your school community in the longer term? All these sorts of, I guess, characteristics we're looking at because we really like to see whatever it is that you engage in be part of the fabric of your school community or group of schools into the future to help really make that those student outcomes embedded into your school community for the longer term. I'll now hand over to Rona, who will talk us through some of the key dates and processes throughout the Smart Giving program work.
Thanks, Andrew. So this year, the Smart Giving will be a 5-week round between the 8th of August to the 9th of September. Initial assessments and shortlisted schools will be notified in September. Shortlisted schools will then be further assessed by independent experts in the field of their project theme. This will then be followed by phone interviews to be held in late October. Just as a note, no new forms will need to be completed. The aim of the interview is to gather additional information about projects that we might need for particular donors or for our understanding. Interview questions will be sent beforehand. For the schools in the interview stage, Schools Plus will make the final selection of projects and send notifications in early December. We aim to have successful schools to have their first coaching session to be conducted in Term 4, 2022. For funds to be released, schools must sign the funding agreement and complete the required documents to be approved by the coach and submitted to Schools Plus. To apply for Smart Giving, please refer to the guidelines on the Schools Plus website for further information. It would be advantageous to your project team to set aside adequate time to review and discuss the key questions before submitting the application. You can contact Schools Plus for any questions, or you can book a time with a coach for project design support. This will be available between the 11th of July and the 26th of August. As a reminder, applications will open from the 8th of August, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the closing date on the 9th of September, midnight Eastern Standard Time. Late applications will not be accepted. So from the Smart Giving team, we wish you all the very best.
Thank you and good luck.
Thanks, folks.